Okay. stop here if you'd like. Do you want to stop here or do you want to go ahead?
I could do whatever, whichever you like.
Why don't we stop? And then if we have time, we can do the next page because that next page is such a big page. We could spend the whole class just on that page.
Sure.
You play very well, and I'm not sure that I completely agree with this piece being totally fiery in a completely intense way all the time.
Mhm.
Is that your idea?
Um, I think sometimes when I get a little anxious, it goes more in
Uh,
that.
no, I can understand. And so this is a good opportunity maybe to work on a little bit. What is your A, May? It's because it seems to me like you're a little on the high side. Are you?
Um,
Oh, you're okay. I'm just a hair lower than that, but you know, once in a while that you have a tendency to be on the sharp side. Is that something that happens occasionally?
um,
Because you were never flat.
I don't notice in the, I'm not sure I have complete awareness. I notice like in performance, my tendency is to go a little sharp because I get a little.
Why do you go sharp? Because it's very important to figure it out.
I could be wrong. It feels like I go sharp because my physical state is a little bit more grippy and I don't have as much flexibility, maybe.
And because when your vibrato gets tight, it actually vibrates above the pitch.
Hmm.
Um, do you believe that vibrato essentially goes below the pitch, goes from the pitch below? Or do you have an idea about vibrato in general? I mean, like we go like this. Um, Vivian, the first little girl who played, she was vibrating on her violin like this. Which way is that hand going?
Backwards first.
Always, always. And actually, to say that it never goes above the pitch that's not true. That's a lie. But we don't make it go above the pitch. We let our finger go from more erect to flatter. You practice back and forth that way.
Like
With
horizontal.
knuckle going from a more erect knuckle to a loose knuckle. Do you practice that way?
Um, this is my one of my new projects that I need to work on.
It would be great. So you just play a note. You don't pay attention to your hand doing it at all. You pay attention to this last knuckle. Hopefully that's ultimately what comes out. Try that once and just want to see if you're loose enough to control that. Just go real slow.
In third position or first?
Matter whatsoever comfy. If third is more comfortable for working on vibrato. Just think about that knuckle. Just think about that knuckle. That is a big thing. Because do you understand that when you vibrate back, when you're thinking back, you are putting less pressure on the string.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Goes from more to less, more to less. And now that's not something that we it's not like we're lifting our finger off, but that is what happens automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what causes the beautiful vibration. Okay, so everybody has an idea about the introduction to the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. You go like, I don't want to hear yours, you know? But you do want to make it sound like an introduction, not like the most important thing in the piece.
Okay.
It's very important in that how it sets the tune up. You know, there are many arguments about it, or there are many, many versions. Um, you know what happens before you come in.
The orchestra.
Ba-da-ba-dee-da-da-da-da-dee-da-da. Poor pianist who tries to play that always has a miserable time. It's very, very difficult to play it on the piano. But you are essentially coming out of that rhythm, right? Yum body ba-da body ba-da ba-da body ba-da ba-da body ba-dum body. You have like the most elongated version of that. So you're not starting something new. You are not. You are continuing what the orchestra gave you. So let's start it once more. And think in your head a little bit. Da dee da dum, ba dee da dee da dum. And start. That was great. That was so much better. Did you feel like you could control your vibrato? And do you think it needs a lot of vibrato? I mean, it definitely needs vibrato. There's no doubt about that. Do you think that that introduction needs an intense vibrato? It has,
Intent.
you know, it has the top, which certainly would, you know, build an intensity, right?
Um, I think it needs more variation. Like it's too intense,
That's it.
and it's too similar, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe a little bit.
And there,
Can I ask you to do something kind of mean? Play
yeah.
it right now without any vibrato at all. Okay, not bad. Um, it's a little hard to tell on Zoom because Zoom doesn't do a very good job of dynamic contrast. But regardless of what piece you're playing, if you're playing without vibrato, who is responsible? You really hear what the bow is doing, right? And I feel like you had some places, May, where you play. I'm trying to think. You play. For example, don't you think that there's a little release with your. Now, I want you to think about that in terms of what because actually, I think when your bow sits there so kind of tight,
Okay.
it encourages your vibrato to do the same thing.
Huh.
I don't know how you can slow your vibrato down in, like, let's say, halfway in a phrase or whatever, if in fact you don't release a little more on your bow.
Hmm.
Play it once more without vibrato, or with, I don't care if a wiggle comes in there or not, but try to feel that you are making the shape by releasing some of the weight on your bow. How do you do that? How do you release the weight?
How?
Yeah.
Um, Less pressure into the string.
And where do you get the less pressure from? What do you release physically?
Like hand, elbow.
Yeah, and you know, you should feel like you're doing that all the way from your back. Are you playing a Tchaikovsky concerto from your back? I don't think so right now. And I think that's what makes you a little enclosed. No? Let's just try once more, then we'll go on to do something else. You spend a lot of time before you start, you know. Does everybody tell you that? Yeah. And you know what happens? You make us nervous. So you know what? You can take all the time you want, but you take it here. And are you expelling your breath before you start instead of inhaling? That's usually a good idea. If you feel like you're a little nervous, you should go. And off you go. Because the longer you go like this, the worse it's going to be to start it and relax it. You got to believe me. You got to believe that. Okay, imagine I'm going to push you off the pier. Here we go. La-dum. A plus.
Thank you.
Would you ever be brave enough to feel that way on the stage? Yeah, practice that. So you've got to practice this, like, relax it, relax it. Are you, have you worked on your setup in terms of your shoulder rest and your chin rest and everything recently? Or is this a combination that you finally arrived at?
This is not a permanent combination. I've been changing actually a lot, maybe too much, but I still haven't figured out. I just this week switched to taller again, and it was shorter.
What do you have underneath? What's your shoulder rest?
I just have a coon.
Which is fine. I mean, if it works, it's fine. And your neck is pretty long and your shoulders are fairly sloping. So you have that a bit. Let's see if I can get you on again. I have the next person on. Start playing once, Mae, so that I can get your attention. Okay, good. I think that chin rest is way too high for you. I think that's just, but that's me, you know, and there's no time to get into that now. But I can tell you that I used to have a bleeding neck when I was your age. That's how bad I was. The worst. I mean, I hung on like nobody's business. And I ultimately, I sport a lot with my hand because I only use this. But nonetheless, I have seen that chin rest. I mean, I've taught for many, many, many years, and those chin rests are starting to appear in the last 5 to 10 years. I have never found one to be successful. I am so sorry. That's all I say. I just think they're too high.
Yeah.
I think they are too high, and they make you keep your head so still, and they don't allow you to move your neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's work on, let's go from the tune. Let's go from the tune. I want you to think about how your hand shape affects your intonation. It's very hard to play this opening perfectly in tune. Your hand shape should always be the same, no matter how you're shifting. Is it? No, something to think about anyway. Let's start. Yeah, go. Okay? I can't, I'm having trouble stopping you.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear.
Uh, you know, do you know before the tune comes back and the double stops, what's the dynamic?
Piano.
Right? Can you make it a piano?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? A piano is a dynamic, but in a piece like this, it's more than just a dynamic. It is a musical indication of how the phrase shapes, right? I mean, it's really more than a dynamic. I mean, Tchaikovsky could say piano, Tchaikovsky could say forte, right? But and what we're trying to figure out is how this whole piece is shaped. You know that Tchaikovsky was primarily a ballet composer. Yeah. Mhm. So what is happening is like on that arrival, there's some kind of a ballet gesture. You know, the whole corps de ballet dances out, right? So don't make sound so important, right? And it's piano. It's not only piano, I guess that would be the way I would describe it. It's not only piano, it's not so important. Can you believe that there actually is something in the Tchaikovsky concerto that's not so important? That's true in every single piece of music, right? There's a hierarchy of value. I have a friend who's a very good, important oboist, and he told me about a very famous oboe teacher who taught at Curtis for many, 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 many years. And most of the oboists in big jobs and symphonies right now are his grandchildren. He was at Curtis forever, and oboists have a book called Barrett. It's like their Kreutzer. You know, we have Kreutzer etudes, they have Barrett etudes. And Mr. Tebuteau made his oboist put a number on every single note from 1 to 10 in the Barrett etude book to make them understand how to get importance. Something's more important, something's less. So doodle 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 is probably a 2. It's not very important, right? Start right there. No vibrato, no tight. Don't, how hard are you pressing, Mae?
With a bow?
No, with your left hand.
Not hard.
Good, good.
Sorry.
That's okay. Um, mistakes are fine. You played that was beautiful. Because you were relaxed when you started at the bottom, you hear the tune came out wonderfully with no effort. It's hard to recreate that, right? Because it's an odd thing. You can't try not to try, right? There's something weird in that. You're like, what am I supposed to be doing? but you have to trick yourself, like what I'm trying to do with you, you know. First of all, you have to be brave. Start right away. Just have to go for it. Okay. You have to say, oh, not every note is so equally important. I have to find the low spots and I have to let them be low spots. And then you could change it later. But right now you have to let them be low spots so that you have something to grow out of. Would you play the second theme for me? Okay, that was good. Do you know what that dynamic is?
Is it mezzo piano?
Wrong, wrong, wrong.
It's
It's piano.
it's piano. Oh my gosh.
It's
It's
piano.
piano with espressivo.
Yeah, it does, but espressivo does not mean volume, especially not in this case, right? I mean, because it's like one of the most beautiful tunes for the violin in the whole world, and it has little crescendi. Do you see the little crescendos in the line?
Yes.
Okay. They have no marking in the at the point of them. In other words, he doesn't say crescendo to mezzo forte. He says crescendo within piano. They're teeny weeny. Okay, start it. Try it once more. Relax it all. Piano. Piano with both hands. Okay. Okay, good. If we were to say that you need to be somewhat rhythmically flexible in this, which way would it go? Which way would the flexibility be? To go faster or to go slower? To make the phrasing in this piece, in this second theme.
I mean,
Da 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 dee da da dee da dee da da dee da da dee. You can go,
more.
but you need some time to go back, right?
But, yeah.
Because you're running ahead a little, you know, and you're running ahead a little bit in the interludes, in the ends of the phrases, which is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, one last time, but what would you say is the most important thing to think about in playing this theme?
Um,
This is a quiz. This is a quiz. What is the most important thing to think about?
not thinking so much.
Yeah, that's true too. But there's one thing, you gotta breathe.
Singing, breathing. Okay.
Gotta breathe. Try it once more and notice where the phrase drops off a little bit. Take some time. I would be the conductor and I would allow you anything. I won't allow that to you in the past technical passages, but I would allow it in this second theme. Last time. You've just made my day.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
for you.
All right, thank you.